to Hungry for Hallmark. Today, I have a very, very special guest. We have Laura Osnes here today, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so
Hi,
much
everyone.
for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's totally my pleasure. We are going to be talking about some of your Christmas movies and non-Christmas movies. And we're also going to be making some Christmas sweetbread from your movie from last December, A Dash of Christmas, which was on Great American Family. I loved that movie, by the way. It was a
Oh, thank you. We had a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of baking in that movie and cookie decorating and all the things. So it's kind
oh
of perfect.
Oh yeah. Well, exactly. It's all kind of related to what we're doing today. And Chris Russell was your co-star, right?
Yeah.
And he was a food blog or a vlogger, kind of like me, coincidentally. But we're first I'm going to put some of my ingredients in, and then we can chat while I get something started.
Love it.
So we've got dry ingredients, we've got wet ingredients. We're going to start with the dry. Okay, so our Christmas sweetbread, we're going to start with our flour. I'm just going to put it in my bowl. Okay.
How much flour?
That is 2 cups of flour.
Is part of this so that the fans can be making it along with, right? Do you post the recipe so that
Yeah.
everyone can come along and make it? Perfect.
Yes, on my website, the recipe is actually already on my website, loveandsparks.com. And yes, if anybody wants to cook along, bake along, please join the party.
I have some of the stuff here, but some of the ingredients I'm semi-allergic to, so I'm going to be mostly just watching and cheering along. Obviously, Chris Russell taught me how to bake the bread in the movie, so I'm like, cool, I've already done it, and
Oh yeah.
you've already done it too, but now we get to do it together. So it's
Yay. Yay. Yes, I know. I noticed the ingredients were slightly different from the one in the movie, but I mean, it turns out exactly the same deliciousness. So,
I'll
okay.
reveal the secret and say, yeah, we fudged it to film the scene, but then like the final product is like a probably a store-bought like fruitcake. You know what I mean? For like the prop of the final
Oh,
product.
of course.
And our props guy was awesome because he let me like take home a lot of the leftover baked goods, which I
Oh,
was like, this is great. It's a win-win.
that's a way to, yeah. Come home from work. Hey, honey, look what I brought home. Dozens
Exactly.
of goodies. Oh my gosh, that sounds great. I'd be in heaven. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of sugar to my flour. And just 2 more dry ingredients. I have salt and a bit of baking powder. So those are all my dry ingredients. Just gonna stir them up a bit. And wondering, while you were filming with Chris, were you actually, like really getting your hands in there and baking, or was it a lot of tasting? Did you get to eat all kinds of things on set?
We did get to eat a lot of things, but the final products were all like store-bought things.
Okay,
So
right.
no, like we weren't actually baking. The props crew had various things done at various stages, right? And I am a baker. I love baking in my real life. So there were actually a few times I like looked online and I was like, this is not how would you add the molasses just like to a clump of like dough? Like you would have added that earlier, right? Like the order of things was not, I felt, if I'm being perfectly honest, everyone will have to go back and watch the movie now, like wasn't always 100% accurate. And they have to get the shot of like like, and then 4 hands kneading the dough. And it's more about the storytelling than the actual like baking of it all. Even though my character at the end, like that was super fun because there's a contest at the end where she has to bake basically on her own. And we get to see this beautiful cake in various forms of like being made.
Yeah.
And definitely along the way, like phase 2 of the cake, I was like, how did this turn out to look like that final product? Like that's 4 tiers and perfectly frosted. I was like, this is not the right texture that would have baked into this. But hey, it's okay. It's the magic of movie
Movie
magic.
magic came
Movie magic.
together somehow.
Yes. But there was a couple scenes too where we were decorating cookies and like we definitely all got to eat cookies afterwards. And there were a lot of like the ingredients of like cranberries and like raisins and nuts and things that would go in baked goods that were just kind of always sitting around. A little like Hershey's Kisses, things that would go on candies or on cookies and baked goods that were like, hey, like, are there extras? Like, I'm just gonna like eat one of those.
In
Um,
between takes.
yeah,
Don't mind me.
exactly. And some actors are like really good and aren't tempted by those things, and I tend to be. I have a sweet tooth, so.
I do too. I do too. That's why I bake so much. Oh my gosh, that sounds wonderful. All right, before the next question, I'm going to cut in my butter. So this is cold butter. It's a whole stick of unsalted butter. I cut it into tabs. A whole stick sounds like a lot. It kind of is, but you know, it's not like you eat this stuff every day. It's okay.
Hey,
So I'm gonna cut this in with my pastry blender. Do you own one of these guys?
actually, no, and I should get one. I would use that a lot.
Yes, it's so good and it's so easy to clean out because you know, the little butter clumps kind of get trapped in here, but you can
Yep.
literally just pop them right back out and it's super easy.
It incorporates the flour a lot better.
Yes, yes, it's a great tool. You could use a fork too if you don't have this. It's you don't have to be as fancy as I am. But I like to
So
be fancy.
yeah, there's so many kitchen gadgets that are really great for like one purpose. And you're like, do I need to get this just for that one purpose? It's like there's a quesadilla maker. There's a, like all the like various things. There's like a cherry pitter, and you're like, or
Oh,
whatever. Like, do
yep.
I need this thing? I go to Bed
Nope.
Bath and Beyond, any like Target, like any store, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I had all these things, it would be amazing, but also not practical.
Oh, for sure. No, 100%. They're fun to have. I enjoy the gadgets and things, but you need enough storage for it. You need, you know,
I have exposed cabinets as here, as you can see in my kitchen. So,
beautiful.
you gotta be a little minimalistic. You gotta be a little choosy about what you choose to store in your kitchen.
Well, you know, it's a good thing. It kind of forces you to, you know, not become a hoarder.
Totally. It's true. It's very
Yeah.
true.
You should see my cabinets inside. It's not a pretty sight. They're pretty stuffed, but with all good things.
Again,
Okay. Here we go. So, yeah, I was going to ask you earlier if you are normally a baker. Do you favor baking over cooking, or do you like to do both?
yeah, I would say my husband is the chef of our family, is very much the cook, and I am the baker. I like a recipe. I like to follow recipe. And I'm like, thank goodness I'm married, because I think if it was up to me, if I was just looking out for myself, I would just live off of like hummus and carrots and like trail mix and like tuna and crackers or something like that. Like I kind of eat like a 12-year-old when unless my husband's cooking like real food for me. So I'm very grateful that we have each other. We balance each other in that way. And then I've always really loved baking. I think because I have a sweet tooth, and it always felt like a way I could love on people. I guess like people loved baked goods. I like bring banana bread to a rehearsal or to a show or something I'm doing. And like everybody's like, oh my gosh, you homemade this? Like people just, as you know, I'm sure. I don't know, people just it's a fun thing to get to do, because I'm like, I can't afford to eat all of this banana bread for myself. I don't want to eat it all myself. I like it. I'll have some pieces. But it's nice to be able to bring it and love on other people, but also feel like I get to do what I love. Baking is kind of like my Zen activity.
Same here. Yes, it really is very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Yep. Very cool. Right. Well, I'm going to add, I have ricotta now that I'm going to add in here. And this is going to just make it really nice and just kind of give it like a richer consistency once it's baked. It's kind of weird. It feels strange to add ricotta into just dry ingredients, but it's so good. It really moistens it up.
I've made a banana bread that had sour cream,
Yes.
and I haven't quite seen ricotta in a recipe. I think that's so smart.
Yes. Yeah, sour cream in recipes are very good too, especially in bundt cakes or yeah,
Mhm.
banana breads, like you said. All right. I believe the next thing this is almost done already, believe it or not. All right. So now we've got pretty much everything else. I'm going to add my eggs. I got 2 eggs here, and I'm one of those risk takers, and I just do it right in the bowl.
I love it. One-handed. That is skill. I haven't quite mastered that yet. I feel like I don't want to ruin my egg. I still need to do the two-handed. I'm
And you're
I need to
probably doing it the safe way though, because I could easily get shell in here, but I didn't. So yay.
I
Um,
believed it. You completely sold it to me. You look like one arm, one hand. It's brilliant.
Lots of practice. And then here I have like a medley of um, raisins, golden raisins, dried cranberries, dried cherries. It's the yummiest little Christmas mix in a bowl here. Okay. Oh, and we still have some pecans.
Yeah.
I've got lemon zest, just a little bit. Okay. And last thing is I have, this is mixed together. I have vanilla extract and almond extract. So just gonna put that in. And you can omit almond extract if you need to, and just do the vanilla. Or I was thinking you could even maybe do like an orange extract.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah, just to
Yeah,
bring out all the yummy Christmassiness. And
great
that,
idea.
yeah, you said something there was a line in a dash of Christmas that you said it's like Christmas in a bowl or something.
Oh yeah, this is oh my goodness, what is that line? It's like it's Christmas in bread. It's
Oh, this is, I
like
remember.
Christmas
Masquerading.
masquerading as bread. Good job. It's a little cheesy, but hey,
I
it
loved
worked.
it. I loved it. This is Christmas masquerading as bread. What a great line.
Totally. See, I hear, do you consider like Christmas fruit bread like this, like a dessert? Or do you think more it's like a breakfast item? Is it a just a hostess gift?
I know what you mean. It's kind of like an in-between type of thing. I kind of consider it in the scone family.
Aha.
I would say more of a breakfast or an afternoon with tea treat.
I agree. Because I
Yeah.
think in the movie, he was like, it's dessert. And I was like, a loaf of bread. Maybe a lot of powdered sugar on there, or is it with ice cream? Then it's just
I know. That's so funny. I really did think the same thing when I saw that scene. Okay, well, we can work with that. It's still so delicious.
yeah. I like the idea though as like breakfast. It is delicious, but like as a breakfast or like an afternoon snack.
Yes, yes, exactly. My thoughts exactly. Yes, so you are no stranger to Christmas movies. You've done a few. Let's see, you have Homecoming for the Holidays.
Yes.
Put that down. Uh, One Royal Holiday,
Go
Christmas
for
in Tahoe,
it.
and of course, A Dash of Christmas. Am I missing any Christmas movies
No,
here?
those are the Christmas ones I've done. Very good. You did your research.
I mean, and I don't know if you're allowed to even say anything, but do you have any Christmas movies in the works?
It's a great question. It looks like I am going to be filming one actually here in Tennessee next month, but it's very much an ensemble cast. There's a lot of people kind of making cameos and having moments. So I'm not like the lead in this one, but I think will be super fun. I'm really excited about it. Seems like it's going to be a really sweet group of people. And I think it's going to be in partnership with the Great American, with GAF.
Oh, okay. Oh, very nice.
And I also actually just wrote my first script. I wrote a rom-com Christmas movie script with a dear friend of mine and hoping to potentially be able to pitch that out to one of the Christmas networks and see if it gets picked up this year or next year, or we'll see. It was a really, really fun, exciting adventure and project to get to do my first time ever. I learned a lot.
Wow, that's so cool.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Oh, I'm sure someone's going to pick it up. I mean, Who wouldn't?
I just was like, I've never written before, but I was like, I know the genre really well, and I think it would just be so fun. And there's never a lack. You know what I mean? Every year these networks come up with like 25 to 50 new Christmas movies.
It's insane.
It's a
It's
niche.
it's wonderful though. I mean, I spend pretty much the whole 2 months just watching all of the things.
I actually never watched Hallmark Channel before I did one.
Yeah.
And my first movie ever was for Hallmark. I mean, it wasn't a Christmas movie, but I
Yeah.
started watching them in preparation, going like, okay, what am I getting myself into? I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Um, and they totally became a guilty pleasure. I started watching them all the time. My husband loves watching them too. Like, and
Yes.
then like now I know a lot of the people, so it's fun to get to support your friends, and it's a very sweet thing. I totally get it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of those people have, you see them on both networks. And it's like I feel like it's just one big, a happy family of wonderful heart of gold people.
Yeah.
And I also remember when you did well, it's kind of baking, the gingerbread house competition for our Christmas is not canceled.
Yeah.
Um, last
So Danica McKellar invited me to be a part of that. And I was like, again, so grateful. It was like someone kind of backed out last minute, so they needed somebody. And I was like, yes. And so that was really fun to be a part of. And I feel like because I lived in New York for so many years, like
Yeah.
all LA actors were all friends already.
Yes.
And we're kind of in the scene, but not really in the scene. So it's been fun here to be like roped into more of those kind of Hallmark community things that are happening. Um, mainly because of Danica, like wanting to, and then I've since met Jen, and I just, worked with Candace. She just was executive producer of my most recent GIF movie. So I'm so grateful. I just feel so grateful because these are all amazing women. The
Yes.
guys too, but the women really are incredible.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Everyone's wonderful, but yeah, there's something special about a community of women.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally get it. Oh, that's so fun. I'm moving there. I just
Why
have
not?
my husband and my kids, but
I was like, do you love Chicago? How long have you been in Chicago?
I've lived here my whole life.
Okay.
I'm in the suburbs. I'm about an hour outside of Chicago. But yeah, I mean I love it here other than the winter. Winters, let's face it, they stink.
I'm from Minnesota originally, so I get it.
Yeah. Every winter we're like, why do we still live here?
But there's
But
a lot of good food in Chicago. There's a lot of arts and culture things that are happening. But
yes,
if you
we do love it. We love being with our family and friends. That's the hard part, leaving your family and your good friends.
but Tennessee's been a really soft place to land for us, and we've loved it. People are kind here, and the pace of life is like balance. There's balance and there's peace, and it's just so lovely. It's
Oh,
if you ever feel a hankering to move, you would have friends here. Don't worry.
oh, thank you. Well, I hope to be at least on vacation there at some point soon.
Awesome.
I'm gonna just do one last step with our Christmas sweetbread. I am going to put a little bit of flour on my baking mat. I like to line my baking sheets with silicone baking mat. These are the best invention ever. Nothing sticks to them. Nothing. Oh, this is a heavy dough. All right. I'm just plopping it on. And my oven is preheated to 350. And this bad boy is going in for about 50 to 55 minutes. Kind of depends on your oven. Just have to kind of watch it because as soon as it turns brown, golden, it's basically done. And it just looks so pretty when it's done. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm kneading this and I'm going to put it aside because I have the finished product.
This is
Um,
like it's not really dough that you like need, but we're like, oh yes, she's got to knead it. He's got to help her. Yeah, get in there.
you have to put your arms around her waist, and
Of
it's
course.
the only way to do it.
It's so funny. Like I'm so grateful to have gotten into the like making movies. I've learned so much. I come from that like acting on the stage is kind of where my most of my experience was. So I've just been again so grateful to get to go into it. But after you've done a movie, like you know how the sausage is made essentially, and you're like you watch movies differently. As an actor, obviously, I'm always watching to feel like I can learn from other actors. But like as far as the technical aspects of how shots are are set up and how the footage is retrieved and how you do things in a movie that is different than actually real life. I'm like, oh, now I like can call all that out when I watch movies. It's interesting.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I love that.
Kind
And
of rude, but also, you're like, oh, you're constantly learning because you're like, this is my job. This is now my profession.
and obviously you've learned a lot because now you're writing. So
Exactly. I'm like, ooh, every aspect, every element of it. It's very cool.
yes. Oh, that's so exciting. Oh, I would pick up your movie anytime.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, but a couple $1 million laying around. If anybody watching wants to
I
invest,
don't.
you know where to find us.
That sounds wonderful. If I win the lotto tomorrow, I
There
will
it
give
is.
you a call.
Sounds good.
And also, since you mentioned living in New York and you have quite a theater background, Broadway, yes?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Were you Belle in Beauty and the Beast on Broadway?
Was not, but I did play Cinderella.
Or Cinderella? Okay, I don't know why I thought you were Belle for some reason. I can see you
I'm
as
brunette. I get it. I got it.
Belle. Cinderella is actually my all-time favorite princess of all time.
Really?
Oh
What, like,
my
how so? Why?
gosh, since I was a kid, I don't know, not to be too personal, but I feel like I could always kind of relate to her, feeling like I never belonged,
Hmm.
you know, and then, just feeling like an outsider, kind of how she felt. I always just commiserated with her. And then when she got all the things, I was so happy for her. Like, yes, we can do this, we can triumph. Yeah, I have quite a Cinderella collection of snow globes and other, memorabilia.
I
And
do too. I feel like I should send it to you because now I'm like, okay, that was a season, that was a chapter. That's lovely. Don't have the space for some of this anymore. No, I've kept a lot of it, but I agree. I went through like a whole Cinderella phase of getting all things.
oh yeah, even my wedding shoes were glass slippers.
Are you serious? Oh, I would love to see picture. I got to keep my slippers from the Broadway production. And so it's so special to have. Like if ever I teach, I coach a lot. I love to go to schools and speak to like musical theater students and so sometimes I'll bring the shoes and be like, these are my actual glass slippers. It's very cool.
Oh, I bet the audience goes crazy over that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they do, and everyone's like try them on, which I most of the time let people do if like girls do if they want to. I have all nephews. My brother has 3 boys. My husband's sister has 2 boys, and so like they don't really care that Auntie was Cinderella. So like it's fine if someone can appreciate them. It's always really really sweet to be able to see the just the awe and wonder in kids' faces.
oh gosh, yes. I can imagine like a kid at Disney World, like, oh my gosh, it's Cinderella. You are the real Cinderella, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
You are her. And speaking of magic, I'm going to show you how I magically just baked my Christmas sweetbread.
Hey, is
It's,
that's how it turned out?
this is how it
It
turns out.
melted out into like a big cookie.
Basically, yeah, like it is very scone-like in consistency. I scored it before I put it in the oven, and so it's a little easier for me to cut. And I got my powdered sugar. You just put it on top. It
Mm.
is so yummy and
That's
pretty.
magical part.
It is the most magical part. And I loved your reaction in the movie too when you were putting this on. You were
Well,
so excited and giddy, like, oh.
that's literally why I'm like, this is the most magical part. I remember in that scene, they only had 2 of the bread that like in the final product, they only bought 2 of them. So I was like, as you dust it, obviously you're like, okay, I got to get this in like one take or maybe two if we need it, right? And then that's all you get. So I had to make it, it had to be magical. So ours in the movie, ours stayed in a kind of like loaf form. And I'm starting to think that if you wanted to make it in a loaf form, you could just use a loaf pan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe two
Definitely.
loaf pans, break it up into two like smaller loaf pans or something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I purposely I kind of flattened it out a little bit before I baked it, just so I could have, kind of thinner pieces and more to go around, essentially. But yeah, you can shape it however you really want.
Also probably do little balls, like if you want to do scones or like biscuits or something like that too.
Oh, definitely. Yes. I'm gonna cut into it and then you can kind of see what the inside looks like. But it's so colorful. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I don't know if
Cool.
you-
Yay. I love that. And what's the like consistency? Does it get kind of crispy or is it chewy?
It's
It's very
very soft. It's very moist inside because all those raisins and all of the yumminess, it keeps it very moist inside.
beautiful.
It's so good. It's so good. I made it when the movie premiered back in December and I ate almost the whole thing myself. I served it to my family,
Nice.
but I just couldn't stop.
Yep, that was me on set. They were like, here's the leftovers. And I was like, oh, okay. Really good.
I know when you take these like teeny tiny bites on camera, I'm just like, how do you take such a small bite? I'd be like, oh, Cookie Monster.
It's because you do like 15 takes from every different angle. You do a couple in each from each angle, but knowing that you're going to have to do the scene 15 times, you're like, okay, I got to take a manageable bite. It's also kind of my pet peeve when there's like an eating scene and like no one's actually eating. Like everyone's kind of sitting there with their fork.
Yes.
No, like when there's good food, like you eat, but so I get it. It goes both ways. It's another one of those things that's like once the movie magic is a little ruined, you see the behind the scenes, you're like, oh, now I notice when people like aren't actually eating because I know they had to tape that 15 times.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I could imagine you'd be so stuffed after you eating so much of that 15 times.
I did a movie for Hallmark a few years ago where I was a sommelier and we drank so much fake wine. It was not grape juice. It was the non-alcoholic wine,
Okay. Hmm.
which was good because it still had some body and notes to it. But like there's a scene at the end where I'm literally naming like 5 different wines. And so I'm taking each glass and swirling and sniffing and tasting. And then they're like, great, do that much again and doing just that glass several times and then having to do it down the line. It was like 4 hours of just like sipping glasses. And I remember at the end being like I was like parched because wine is so drying and especially non-alcoholic wine. I was like, I need like a Jolly Rancher or something to like
Or
anyway.
some water.
Exactly. You're like, oh, that's that. I had to sip a lot of fake wine in that movie
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I assumed it was grape juice, but that's funny that it would be
because it's
non-alcoholic.
it's not quite the right color. Like cranberry juice is close, but it's not
Yeah,
the it's not as realistic. So
right. Yes, true, true. I'm sure, yeah, some true sommeliers would notice the color, like that's not the color of wine.
right.
Mm-mm. Okay, well, I did want to talk about Just in Time because
Hmm.
that movie was amazing. I loved it. I loved it so much. I had my husband watch it with me. My mom watched it. It was so good. Did you have any part in like any say in
I didn't creatively per se. Candace and I have been friends from afar for a couple of years. We had met one time and but for this movie I was just so grateful that she wanted me to play the lead in it was essentially her movie she was executive producing and I just felt so honored. It was GAF's first Easter movie. And so I read the script too and was very moved by it. I love that it had a lot of depth and complexity. For those that don't know, that haven't seen it, it's about a married couple that is struggling with having a baby and not being able to have a baby. And as a result, my character is like over controlling. Her whole life revolves around the schedule of trying to plan. And it's caused a wedge in her marriage and in her relationship. And her husband ends up going like, I need a break for the weekend, and kind of leaves her to sit with her feelings and figure out her priorities. And through a series of kind of unlikely, mysterious events over the weekend, she meets all these people and learns all these valuable lessons about surrender, and essentially finds faith in the movie, which I thought was so beautiful. It's the first time I've done a very like faith forward project. And I'm a woman of faith myself. And so it was just really special to be a part of a project like that I think has such a positive message and is so important, but also so grounded and real at the same time.
Yes, 100%. It did seem very relatable. I mean, so many people go through that.
Right. And I love the Christmas movies. I love the joy of two people falling in love while making cookies. Like, that's awesome. There's a place for that. But this was so different from that. I hadn't played a role like this before. And so it was really fun and challenging and rich as an actor to get to explore that.
Oh, yes, definitely. Oh, it was wonderful. I loved it, and I will definitely watch it again.
Thank you so much. We're very proud of it. It was pretty special. We filmed in January up in Canada, Vancouver Island. So it's supposed to be a spring movie. So it was quite cold. In fact, it snowed like 4 of the days. And all of the greenhouse scenes where Hannah's in her greenhouse, it was like literally blizzarding outside. So it was
No.
very cold in the greenhouse, and they had to really strategically, obviously it's walls of glass, right? So you can see right outside. So they had to get our DP had to get so creative with like using shots that like we weren't looking quite outside, and they like covered windows with like mirrors and like greenery and things to make it seem like it was humid and nice in the greenhouse.
I mean, I got that feeling. I would never know. They did a great job there.
Magic. It's so funny because all of the spring and summer movies shoot in the winter, and all the Christmas movies shoot in the summer. Just the way that it's it's done. I always wish they could either get 6 months ahead or behind so that we could be
Yes.
wearing coats in winter.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I do. Sometimes I notice the fake snow, especially being from the Midwest. You know what snow looks like. You can kind of see that it's a blanket around and it's kind
Yeah.
of popping up from the ground a little bit. But I can look past that. These are just so
Like
fun.
I've seen bubble machines that are like little bubble suds that fly through the air. Sometimes it's done in post with like computer graphics. There's a lot of different ways.
Yes.
That
That's so fun though. It really gives it the extra atmosphere.
I always love though when I see the ones where you can see their breath. You're like, oh, this was actually shot in winter, and I appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. I noticed that too. Oh my goodness. Well, Laura, thank you. We're pretty much out of time. I could talk forever with you. You're so fun.
Sweet. Thanks, Adwa, again for having me and for promoting the movies. And thank you all for watching and supporting. And it's really wonderful. I'm very grateful.
I'm very grateful that you are here, and we are going to have a fun Christmas in July and watch all the movies while
Love
we're
it.
eating ice cream and being hot.
There you go. And eating fruit scones.
Yes, yes. I'm probably going to freeze part of this and save it for July.
Great idea. I love it. Well, thank you so much again. And it was so good to meet you. Thanks everyone for cooking with us today.
So great to meet you. Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.